Hey everyone, this is Toothy, and today I want to talk about a developer update. And keep in mind that this update will not be available for the live release of 6.3.0. This is a preview which we'll be able to test out on the PTB, but will not be available until 6.5.0. Now, personally, I really do not like the changes a whole lot that they're showing. I do think that there is some good intent behind it, but let's get on into it. First, we have the Last Standing Edition, which is that whenever you down the last capable survivor, so a survivor who is not in the dying state, the hook state, or, someone who has escaped, or anything along those lines, whenever you down the last survivor who is capable of progressing the game, you will immediately enter the finishing Mori state, where you'll Mori every survivor that is left in the trial that is in the dying state. And also, evidently, this will grant a wider field of view. And on paper, this is great because this does avoid those scenarios where you're in an awkward spot trying to look for the final survivors who are on the ground. And, that turns into an awkward 4-minute thing sometimes. Sometimes less than that, but overall, it's a lot of time that's being wasted. So it does avoid those awkward scenarios. However, I don't feel like there was a lot of thought put into this, as the additional FOV is not exactly a great idea. People for a long time have been wanting the FOV to be larger than the base FOV in the game for a long time. However, whenever this has been suggested, it has always been suggested in a way where it is part of a slider. And the main reason why is because of the fact that whether or not you have FOV be too low or too high, this can lead to motion sickness, which makes the game impossible for some people to play. And there have already been some people who will not be able to play the game anymore if the FOV gets increased. So, already the first thing I don't like is the FOV change. That should be an optional thing. That should be an FOV slider, not something that randomly gets changed at the end of the trial. This is already something that makes certain killers unplayable for people. It is already something that is not a good reason as to why people run Shadowborn or any other perks that change your FOV, because it does cause motion sickness. Beyond that, this Mori change also comes with a brand new anti-slug mechanic, which is being called Hope is Not Lost. And what this means is when you down a survivor, they will automatically be picked up off the ground after 45 seconds. This means, you're able to recover yourself similarly to as if you used Unbreakable, but without Unbreakable, without Soul Guard, without any of those kind of perks. But this is not a good change either because of the fact that there are plenty of situations where slugging is a justified tactic. Now, I'm not saying it's fun, but in some cases it is actually necessary. As an example, there are plenty of killers who rely on slugging, such as Oni, Plague, Myers, and Twins. Those are like the big four that come to mind. I'm sure there's other ones that I'm not thinking of immediately as well. And to me, this is a really bad change, as many of these killers have a limited duration in how long they can use their powers. So, for instance, Oni's power is 45 seconds, and his power is literally made to slug. And he's not going to be able to slug anymore because of this addition. And he is a killer who has to earn his power by hitting survivors and, keeping survivors injured as well to keep a supply of blood on the map. A killer like Plague only gets her really powerful ability by people cleansing, and she only gets to have it for 60 seconds. Twins gets to eat a fat 8-second fatigue if they decide to down someone and immediately swap to Charlotte to pick them up. If you even slug one person with twins, well, if you down a second person, that first person is going to get up no matter what. Because you're going to spend those 5 seconds in fatigue, another 3 swapping to Charlotte, and then probably another 10 or so seconds traveling to that survivor as well. But, on paper, that's not going to really change anything if you down one person. But if you down 2 people, and you go for the person you most recently downed, that's it. You're not going to be able to do anything about that either. And then Myers is just already the weakest killer in the game, or at least one of the weakest killers in the game. And he has to burn through quite a bit of time to actually get his tier 3 going. You have his very slow early game, so having tier 3 is something that is meant to be a snowball tool, and you snowball through slugging. But let's pretend that these killers didn't exist. Let's just pretend that these killers had their problems solved. There are other reasons why you'd want to slug. The main reason would be things like pallet saves, flashlights, which, to be fair, I'm not against flashlights being stronger, but there is a greater problem than both of those, which is hook placements. Some hooks are so astronomically bad, or at least some of their placements are so bad, to where you can have places on certain parts of the map, such as on Haddonfield, Midwich, or Area Crows, where you are unable to hook people at all because the survivors put themselves in an unhookable position. On Midwich, you can have plenty of games where an entire half of a floor has no hooks at all, and your only option is a slug. You could have someone with boil over on the top of Ivory Crows, and they're impossible to hook, so you have to slug. And then you have Haddonfield, where the buildings can cause situations where you just don't have any hooks if they go down on the top of any of those structures, or in the basement of the House of Pain. But you also have hooks that can get obstructed by breakable walls if you haven't already gotten rid of them. And then you also have the fact that hooks can be removed when a survivor gets sacrificed on them. So if you manage to sacrifice one person in a really unlucky spot, suddenly you're put into the position where you cannot progress the game anymore, and you cannot penalize someone for going down in a spot where you physically cannot hook them. And that really sucks because it feels like there wasn't a whole lot of thought put into that. But those are the main reasons why I don't like those changes. And then, on top of that, a bunch of perks are being changed that are not going to really make them as appealing. Perks like Unbreakable, Soul Guard, Mither, and Exponential are all being changed. I'm not really sure how this is going to work in the case of Exponential, as they haven't really explained that part. But Unbreakable cuts his time down in half, meaning that self recovery is literally going to only take 42.5 seconds. If you remember what I was talking about in the case of twins, once again, if you slug even once, even for one survivor, and they have Unbreakable now, you cannot pick them up. And if you are on a large enough map and you down from a great distance with Victor, you will not be able to pick them up. That's it. That's gone. That's out of the picture. Especially if they go down under a pallet and there's like maybe one person sitting there. And these are scenarios that I don't think Behavior is thinking a whole lot about. I mean, other than that, you have perks like Rancor and Devour Hope that are being changed, but there's also other perks that are not being listed, like Knockout, which I believe just recently got a change to increase the time it takes to recover yourself. So, I think while there is good merit behind these changes, such as, preventing the scenarios where you bleed someone out for 4 minutes, and, having there be a definite end to the game by reducing the time it takes to actually end the game once everyone is dead, I still believe that there are some things that have not been thought of. Personally, I would like it a lot more if maybe this was something that scaled, like maybe the self pickup happens automatically after 90 seconds. You could even slap on the endurance effect on the survivor when they do this, that way you're not sitting over them while they bleed out. Or, they could even make it to where if there is only one capable survivor, so a survivor who is not hooked, dying, or dead, then, if there's only one capable survivor, then people can gain the ability to automatically recover themselves after 45 seconds. And I think that'd be more mindful of the scenarios where you don't have a hook, because, alright, say you down the last person, well, the second to last person, and you want this to be a chance to snowball, well, now you have a 45-second window to do so, and I think that'd be totally fair. If you mess up, that's it. One person gets to pick themselves up, and you gotta try again. Or, just go and hook them. And I think that would be a much more fair system, while also keeping the anti-slug a part of the game. But either way, those are like my main 2 points of feedback. I would really like to see Behavior make FOV a slider rather than a forced addition to the game. And then I would like to see there be work done to the anti-slug mechanic that is more mindful of the problems in the game and specific killer designs that are in the game. The easiest solution to me would be to just make the stealth recovery take 90 seconds. That's completely fair, and there should never be a scenario where you slug someone for 90 seconds that isn't them abusing an unhookable position. Or, if you want to do something more advanced, 45-second recovery only when there is one capable survivor left. But that's all I gotta say. I wanted to make a quick video because personally I stream and a lot of people are gonna want to know what my opinion is on this. So I wanted to put a video to put together some quick thoughts, even though I've probably been rambling on about this for a little while now. But other than that, if you enjoyed what I had to say about this, please do consider dropping a like or a subscription or anything along those lines, and check out my socials below. That being said, that's all I have to say right now. Maybe some of my opinions might change based on whatever else they plan on showing on the PTB next week. So we'll see how my opinion changes on this, or if maybe this isn't as bad whenever this does get released, or if Behavior makes a statement on this. I'll keep you all up to date on my opinion on all this, but have a great one, everyone, and thank you for watching.